Okay, we're back with another interview. We're with Manuel, the head of LatAm and Europe with Polygon Labs. We are coming at you from the stablecoin conference presented by Bitso in Mexico City. Day two, man, how's the conference been for you so far?
Yeah, first things first, thank you very much for hosting me. I'm glad to have this conversation. From my point of view, the Bitso Stablecoin Conference is for sure in LatAm the best Web3 stablecoins crypto conference. And I don't say it because I'm here. Like I genuinely think about it. It's just the second edition, but it has become for sure an event we're not missing from now on.
Stable Live is sponsored by Agora, built for global institutions moving money at the speed of the internet. You can learn more at agora.finance.
That's awesome. I mean, so you've been with Polygon, you were telling me going on 4 years now. You kind of joined, in that fun period of 2022. Maybe start with even the general sentiment of going to conferences, maybe going to the other ones in the world. Maybe don't you have to name them, but we know the big crypto conferences. How has the perception of Polygon changed in the past 4 years?
Yeah, absolutely. Like it has been, as you can imagine, quite a ride. When I joined Polygon back in 2022, we were more of a DJing, DeFi, Web3 gaming chain. So the vibes, even
the gaming was like such a hot trend for
absolutely. Back in the day, we were the hot chain for NFTs. All the major Web3 gaming studios were open and willing to launch on Polygon. We're basically the first. We're not truly, from a technical point of view, a layer 2, but a side chain that was basically able to aggregate transactions and to give the speed and cost that this type of projects needed back in the day. So that's why Web3 gaming was a huge bet. And you could see like even the culture, the talent, the people at Polygon were completely different to what we have right now. Yeah. Absolutely, it has been quite a ride. And also from a conference perspective and from the type of conversations you have, back in 2022, I have to say that the atmosphere was like more genuine, more authentic, more. I don't know if the word is like more. Yeah, like genuine, original. You could see like more randomness around. There was a lot of Web3 ethos around the conferences, like, a lot of claims around decentralization, about not your keys, not your money, and these kind of things, which I think we need to keep, but at the same time acknowledging where we are as an industry, as a society, as everything, and then right now, as you can imagine, like the vibes are completely different. But at the same time, I like the culture we have around this new like Web3 industry, more focused on actual value. We can talk about stable coins, payments, all of it. But I like that right now there is less about sometimes like pitches that go nowhere to right now we provide
novel idea that sounds great on paper and you're like, yes, show me the tech.
Now I can shake hands, I can sign a deal, and I can see it going live. In 2022 I had a lot of conversations about dreaming, which is fantastic, and I think maybe we need to go back more on that. Maybe we're getting
definitely like the financial primitives, vaults, tokenized equities. There's definitely space for dreaming up, like, what do these products look like? What are we using to generate yield? I think that's like USD AI we talked with the other day, and it's like, if you would have told me 4 years ago, hey, we're getting yield from GPU mortgages, like, I wouldn't have thought of that, but they've had an awesome year.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, actually, I remember a year ago on the first edition of this conference, like when we go at Polygon internally, when we go to a conference, then the week after, you usually do a debrief to the rest of the team. And I remember like my headline was like, this is one of the first conferences I'm about to actually shake hands and commit on things that deliver actual value to potential clients. So that's I think the beauty of it these days is that this is becoming a more deal-oriented conversations and things that really cater into the reality.
Shout out to Ingrid and Marina. They're the team at Bitso that are bringing all of this together. They've been awesome to work with.
Absolutely.
We've been gracious enough to be invited in back the second year. If somebody would have told you 4 years ago, you were telling me outside who you're going to meet with after this interview, I won't say who, but it's impactful. If you were if somebody told you 4 years ago that you'd be meeting them at a stablecoin conference 4 years into this role, Would you have believed him?
No, I would say like you would be nuts. You would be crazy, no? Like
No, that's 10 years down the line.
No, 10, 15, no? Like I remember back in the day, everyone was talking about, the crypto industry will mature as institutions come, no? And I remember Polygon actually was one of the first, if not the first, blockchain ecosystem, like really, breaking those barriers, no? Like right now, you see all these big names, these big banks, neobanks, payments companies, and so on in these type of conferences. But in 2021, 2022, that was not the case. And we were the ones talking to companies like Starbucks, with companies like Nike, with companies like Disney, with companies like, and I can say a couple of other names. Like right now with retrospective, we realized that maybe the type of deals that we were, or the announcements, or even the content we were doing on chain, maybe it was not that meaningful. Or that impactful, but back in the day, with those lens, with the NFT lens, the Web3 gaming, like all of that, man, like we were pioneers on that, no? And it's amazing to see that work really came into fruition and helped like create this new Web3 institutional industry, no?
Well, I talked, my last interview was with Dave from Etherfuse, and again,
great friends.
Again, 5, 6, 7 years ago, if you said, hey, this same technology that we're issuing meme coins, we're now issuing sovereign debt on chain. He was talking about with Kazakhstan, how not only are they issuing sovereign debt on chain, they're issuing net new primitives of sovereign debt on chain. They had to go create a financial instrument to do that. And it's just like, again, tell me that 5 years ago. Oh, you said you're yanking my leg.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I like to talk when I'm speaking to clients or potential clients, and I'm pitching them about Polygon and so on. I like to use a concept, which is the concept of only possible on chain, no? Like what's only possible on chain, or what gives Web3 or on chain superpowers, no? And those are the things that really many times become like eye opener to many people, which is, for instance, no, the basic use case that we are a lot of us here talking about, which is payments on chain. Like it's only possible on chain to send money from one wallet in Zimbabwe to another wallet in the US for less than a fraction of a dollar and less than a second, no? So of course there are nuances to that. You have the local ramp, the on-ramp, the off-ramp, and all of it, but just using a shared ledger between one initial point and another endpoint, and just make that flow as simple as an email, I mean, that's fantastic. That's only possible on chain. You can't do that with the legacy rails, no?
Yeah. So now let's talk about Polygon and like the maturation of the company throughout this time. You mentioned going from the DeFi craze, the NFTs, to saying, I don't think the open money stack is talked about enough. We were even just talking about, hey, yes, people have been using Polygon for over 5 years now, like you said, to send that money, but that we think of those as payments. That's not really payments at its core. So kind of help lay that foundation of Polygon's been there. Where's Polygon going now with the open money stack?
Yeah, absolutely. I will start with the origin of Polygon, which is basically Polygon. The genesis of the Polygon blockchain was in 2017. It basically was the first, it's not true like a layer 2, but sidechain solution that had the scale Ethereum. Back in the day, there was this bottleneck on Ethereum. There was more demand for block space than block space available, and the technology was not mature enough. So the cost per transaction was extremely expensive, which didn't allow for the explosion, for instance, of the DeFi ecosystem, no? Polygon was probably the first successful non-Ethereum related DeFi ecosystem. There was this thing in the industry about like farming Matic, no? Like the Matic farmers, there were like people that made a lot of money actually. I think still today, Matic has been the most successful ICO on Binance Launchpad. Like that's really crazy. Don't quote me on this because maybe there is some
not financial advice, disclaimers.
Absolutely, but at least from the top 100 coins for sure, or tokens for sure. And then we saw like a lot of permeability of adoption of Polygon because of that. No, it was a blockchain that is secure, that is cheap, and that basically is also fast. So that allowed
the foundation to kind of become a household name.
That's it. And that's why Polygon, for instance, talking about LatAm that we're here, it's integrated with almost all major, both global and regional exchanges for deposits and retirements, all the big regional wallets, like, I don't know, the Lemons, the Bellos of the world.
Well, I think back to even 4 years ago when deals started doing stablecoin payments to contractors, the two main chains they used, it was Ethereum and it was Polygon.
Yeah, absolutely. Like actually still, if you see today, for instance, fintechs like Dolarapp, now Ark, the only three chains that you can do deposits and retirements are Ethereum, Tron, and Polygon.
Wow.
If you do the same analysis with Astropay in Argentina, it's Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, and Polygon, no? So basically, we have a lot of permeability of ecosystem dynamics of, I always say, or back in the day, I was saying like one USDT or USDC on Polygon is more valuable than in any other chain, no? Because you can do more stuff. So what has happened, or eventually, like, of course, we saw like a myriad of other companies or projects offering block space. We saw that block space was eventually becoming commoditized, and that we were not capturing any or almost any of the value of the transactions and activity that was happening on chain. Our founder Sandeep always says like, Polygon as a blockchain gets the same value if you move $1 or $1 billion. It's a fractions of a cent. That's like no one cares.
Yeah.
So that's why we saw at the same time this explosion of the stablecoins world. That's why we're all here. In many different use cases, you can talk about like B2B cross-border commerce. You can talk about like B2C, access to yields on chain in an easier way, global accounts, stablecoin link cards, etc., etc. And we saw that different parts of that stack were also being commoditized. Like on the wallet infrastructure, the majority of them are fairly similar, 90-95% each quite similar. The ramps, it's also becoming something that it's not being commoditized, but it's a margin operation business and so on and so forth. So we saw that there was a big opportunity of trying to bundle all of that and provide this one stack unified that basically allows you to move money on chain as seamless and as easy as possible through one unified API and one single vendor integration. And that's where we see the value. If you think about the different layers individually, you can transact on a couple of chains that work extremely well. You can use a couple of wallets that give you the level of service or product that you need. You can use different ramps and they will be quite similar. But when you put all of that together on the same infrastructure, the same product, that's where we see the value.
And so from a sales perspective, we talked a little bit about like these analogies going 0 to 1, 1 to 100. Would you say that in the past, maybe 2-3 years ago, prior to the open money stack, you almost had to be more of a consultant? Hey, you want to come on chain? I can point you to all these different solution providers. You have to figure out how to put the Legos together. Would you say that open money stacks, hey, here's the kit. It has all the instructions. Now you can go build your end product. Would that be like the right to think about?
Like, here I want to attack this question in two different vectors. Like one vector is we have the I don't know if it's the lucky, but the almost like the honor of building on top of a very successful blockchain and brand.
Yeah.
So building a product like OMS without Polygon's permeability and dynamics
for 4 years.
Like there's many companies, like we're basically, in a sense, and don't quote me on this, but upselling a Polygon chain. So there is a lot of fintechs, neobanks, remittance companies, cross-border companies that are already transacting and using Polygon and having a great experience. And now maybe they are interested in wallets. Maybe they want cash ramps in the US. Maybe they want just debit card ramps and processing in a different market, or stablecoin link cards or whatever, no? So we are able to basically build on top of Polygon as a settlement layer and use that trust that has been there for the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years and give them, a full end-to-end solution, no? That it's extremely modular. They can use whatever they need for the different business, no? So I think that's one. And then the other vector that is here interesting is, as I was saying before, no, like Polygon's brand recognition, Polygon's payments focus and payments knowledge. Like right now, everyone at Polygon comes from Visa, from Amex, from Cash App, from Stripe, from all these companies, and there is like a density of payments knowledge and talent that is really superb. And the type of support we can give, even from a blockchain perspective, it really makes a difference.
Awesome. Well, I could probably take this for another 20, 30 minutes. You got business to go do, which is the point of these conferences. So, Manuel, I'm sure we'll talk about the Open Money Stack more. We'll be right back after a short break for more interviews from the Stablecoin Conference in Mexico City. Thanks again, Manuel.
Thanks, Dak.
Awesome.